Marriage is a beautiful experience, and the scriptures shows us that marriage is God's design, and God designed marriage for enjoyment and for glory. And what excites me is the fact that we are seeing two friends that not only love each other, but two friends that have their faith anchored in the Lord, because God being the initiator of the first marriage, it shows us that He's the one who holds the keys to a successful marriage. When you look at what is happening today in society and the news media, you will notice that we have print media that have recognized and found marriage to be actually a very sellable a piece of information. Those of you that read newspapers, you know that the Sunday Mail, for example, has carried a full dedicated whole page for the last, I don't know how many years, which they just dedicate to marriage stories from the courts. Just to show you how marriage has become such a hot topic. And the sad part is when you read those articles, 9 out of 10, you find they are articles that break your heart. Because 9 out of 10 of those articles, they're talking about the marriage dissolved, and they've gone on separation, and reconciliation failed, and all that. And is it supposed to be like that? It ought not to be. Because from the beginning, God's design of marriage was that marriage was designed to work, and marriage was designed for good. So when we see marriage fail today, it's never because you can never tell what happens in a marriage, because it's a journey which can end and result in any way. It ought not to be, because God designed marriage to be one that brings joy and fulfillment. It's God's highest structure in human society for the fulfillment of His highest emotions and feelings that God put in man. But then why do we find what is prevailing today in many quarters? Thanks be to God that the scriptures are still as true as they were many years back. And I want to share with you on what I call from Phileo to Agape, because that, when I study the Bible, is one of the major gaps which, if any couple that gets married and doesn't make that transition, 99% of the time, they will definitely end up in that Sunday Mail portion of stories from the courts. Because I find when I study my Bible that almost every couple that goes to court, that divorces or never goes to court, almost every one of those couples, you find none of them, when they were courting, none of them thought that such a moment in their marital love life was going to come. But it's because there is a huge difference between Phileo and Agape. I know I'm still sounding Greek because I'm using Greek words. Now, Phileo is the Greek word that you find in the Bible. Of course, you are using an English Bible, so you are not going to find it even if you are using an online Bible, because it's a Greek word for love, for friendship, love between friends. And Phileo is the love that characterizes the emotional attachment when Kapembwa and Wusiku are in courtship. And it's a love that is dependent on warm affection. And it's a love that two people that are in courtship enjoy between each other. It's Phileo. And up to this point, you are still experiencing Phileo, because you notice, with all that I'm going to share, that the love in courtship, the love during engagement, the love when two people are in a relationship, it's Phileo because it's a love for friendship. And Phileo is not a bad love in it, because it has the ability to lead you to this point, which is God's perfect will for friendship. So we can tell that while Phileo is beautiful, but Phileo is not strong enough to sustain marriage. Because Phileo is a love that has its focus on the personality and not the object of the love that it's exhibiting.